What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 43 of the Overview. I'm ChanManV, and Fishstix is back this week. What's up, Fishstix?
I'm incredibly saturated for some reason.
It's very white.
It's the same setup as every other time. I don't understand, but yeah, glad to be back. Had to miss last week for personal reasons, but here I am.
All right, very cool.
Day.
Yeah, definitely. Flame back with us this week. What's up, man?
Not much. Feeling good.
Feeling good. All right, we got a new patch that's out, a new event that's out, so lots of new cool things to actually play in the game. You guys get a chance to hop on since the update or the patches hit?
No,
No.
I'm at work.
me too.
I wish. I mean,
I'm actually at home, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, one game of CEST.
You played one
came
game?
out like 2 hours ago, or like 1 hour ago. I don't even know.
Yeah, you played one game of CTF, Flame?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Okay, we're definitely gonna be talking about that.
I set up my chat wheel actually for Tracer, but it's gonna take a long ass time to set up the chat wheel for every character.
That's true. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about that, of course. Jeff had a quick developers update to talk about CTF, which Flame just talked about, and then we've got a few player things, just not as many player news as we've been having the last few weeks, which I guess is a good thing. But we have a lot of events to talk about. We have 3 events going on, or at least went on this past weekend. And so lots of matches to talk about and see how the teams are performing right now. And then, of course, at the end, we've got some emails, questions from you guys. If you're interested in ever emailing us for the show, you can go ahead and do that at theoverview@chanmanv.tv, and we'll try to read out some of those emails, particularly for all the listeners out there. Okay, so anyways, let's start off talking about the Year of the Rooster event. So I was wondering what event they were gonna or what holiday or whatever they were gonna have the next event, and I was thinking, it's probably gonna be something like Valentine's, and we can have like a Cupid Roadhog. So I was like getting all excited about that, and then boom, they surprised me with basically Chinese New Year, right, as the new event. And then it dawned on me, yeah, that makes a lot of sense given just how global and how large of an Asian presence that they have right now with the game too. So were you guys surprised that this was the next event?
Well, I think they sort of teased that a lot of the events coming up wouldn't be exactly what you expected. I mean, we had basically a holiday Christmas one, which is like, of course you're going to get that. We had the Olympics was kind of unexpected too.
Yeah.
It didn't really see that coming, but they definitely teased us that we were going to get some events that were not what I guess the Western world would expect. But again, this game, like the whole point of this game is that it's this diverse open world. It's set in the real world. It's all about diversity and it's all about being global. And it is a very global game. So it makes total sense that they'd activate one of their largest potential audiences in China here.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense.
I love how they call it Year of the Rooster too, because it's usually referred to Year of the Cock, but Year of the Rooster I guess sounds better, right? Flame,
True.
Were you surprised by this event?
Yes and no, I guess. I mean, I think I'm more surprised by the scale. Like, I expected like a little bit of skins, but I honestly think the skins from this patch are better than like I think all of the patches, arguably, in my opinion, anyway.
All right, speaking of which, let's start looking at some of these.
I think the Brawl might be the best Brawl so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, plus or minus Junkenstein, I guess. And
it's the Brawl I'm by far the most interested in.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Brawl, I guess, with the most staying power.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's exciting and like potentially game changing, which I think makes it good. I don't know. I think that it's cool though because like I've played Dota before. I think Dota used to have Chinese New Year events and like they went above and beyond. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, speaking of the skins, I want to talk a little bit about it. Fishstix, you were telling me that you thought this Diva one was one of the best ones.
Yeah, it's turning her mech basically into a little pagoda almost.
That's true.
With the the skirt looks awesome. I am definitely using that skin. I need to save up some money though, man. That's a 3,000 gold skin. I spent 3,000 gold on Yeti Winston last update, so I don't have much left. But yeah, that's definitely the skin I'm looking at as kind of my favorite out of the group. But there's some good ones in here, like Reinhardt with this necklace is pretty interesting as well.
Yep.
Roadhog's an actual pig now.
That was interesting. So bringing up the Reinhardt now, dude. I love the necklace on the Reinhardt. That's freaking awesome. But yeah, the Roadhog one I have to say is the one I didn't quite get. Is he supposed to be like a government official or something like that? Like an old Asian government official? Where is he? There he is. He's like a pig. He's definitely a pig, but then I wasn't sure what type of hat that was.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But that's a cool.
I'm not
hook,
surprised.
The hook is super interesting looking.
Yeah, what is that? That's like a rake almost.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like one of those old style, like kung fu movies where they have like, the little 3-pronged claw thing that as a weapon. I think it reminds me of something like that. It looks kind of pretty cool. The Zenyatta one looks pretty interesting too. Have y'all seen that one?
Some of them are like nightmare fuel.
That's what people have been saying about the
Zenyatta's
Zenyatta one.
Pretty creepy looking, I thought.
Dude, I thought it looked cool.
And same with Anna, man. Anna's might be like the scariest thing I'll ever look at this week.
Okay, wait. I didn't see the Anna one. Let me see. This was, oh my god. Wow. Yeah.
She's wearing like that drama.
Holy smokes.
Mask. And the colors are so weird. Like, it's like Americree, but it's America.
Yeah.
But it's not really America. It's obviously.
I don't love this one as much.
And the gun looks so weird. I don't know. They're cool. It's just they're very different.
Yeah, this one reminds me a little bit more of like a Summer Games one than it does a Chinese New Year. Let me see. May's got I think May's got a pretty traditional red one, right? Oh, actually, she's got 2 of them. Wow, I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Okay, this is cool.
I think they're making up for the.
Oh, this is nice. This is one of the best ones in my opinion. This May one, and then Luna. Yeah. Okay, so it's the same thing, just different colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm realizing now. I think the Winston one, which is also pretty badass. Just the way that it's colored and like his hair and stuff. I think it's an homage to kind of the Chinese Monkey King myth.
Oh.
As well.
Yeah.
I'm just coming up with this right
now. No, it's supposed to be
Sun
Wukong. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it.
It does. The hair definitely. His face, does the Monkey King's face painted though? I was thinking like Chinese.
Not
opera
always,
stuff, but yeah, the hair for sure. The hair looks exactly like it.
Yeah,
that's because look at his backpack too. They're like double dragons.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fire instead of
Yo, that's dope. Actually,
that's nice.
I like it.
All right, who will we miss? Is there any others? Oh, Junkrat has the firecrackers, right? Yeah, that's kind of cool. I wonder if he throws firecrackers instead of bombs. That'd be pretty sweet.
You got to imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, like gold or something.
Definitely pretty cool, guys. You got to check it out. It's got lots of gold, obviously, to get them. So hopefully you guys are lucky in your packs. But another thing that Flame mentioned and actually Fishstix mentioned too is that we've got a new game mode here. Which, how do I bring it up? It's an arcade, I guess. It's a new brawl. There we go. Capture the Rooster. And Capture the Rooster is basically capture the flag, and it's their attempt at doing it. Jeff had a developer's update that talked about, just a little bit of insight into why they decided to do capture the flag and maybe what the future of it is. Did you guys get a chance to watch that video or no?
Yeah. And he touches, so early in the beta, Flame will remember, this is one of the talking points of the community. It's like, we want capture the flag. If there's a new game mode, everyone's bringing up capture the flag as something that they'd love to see. And Blizzard was very upfront with some of the things that Jeff touched on in this video, that they didn't want to do capture the flag because it favored characters like Tracer. We're going to probably see Tracer and Lucio in every single capture the flag game forever. I don't really see that changing. But basically in this video, Jeff says, we struggled with this. We were thinking about reducing people's abilities that are movement based or this and that. But in the end, it's like, no, like that's the whole point of these characters. Like we want it to be a fast paced game mode. We want you to be able to pick and use these characters that have these movement abilities. So that's ultimately what we're getting. And I'm really excited. I mean, I'm a Tribes guy. I played Capture the Flag exclusively for like 10 years. And it was great in Quake. It's great in Tribes. I don't know how it was in TF2, but I'm really excited to try it out. A lot of people I know in the community are already saying like, can we get this over 2CP? Like they haven't even tried it yet, obviously. But at this point, I'm really excited to try it later tonight.
Yeah, I think
you played Flame, right?
Yeah, I played a little bit. It's well, I mean, TF2 never had touch return, which I think is like a huge aspect of CTF.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it never picked up. But I guess I want to talk about the developer video. Like he mentions, or he makes like a talking point about how it's gonna feel unbalanced because of the hero abilities, which I thought like made a little like it makes almost no sense to me in some way. Like I'm not trying to like badmouth, but like when you consider the fact that like I feel like the hero diversity on CTF is just better than payload and even like any other mode. Because like you could play Torbjorn on this, you could like validify Bastion on this mode.
Oh yeah, Bastion would be great.
Because like you could play defense with Bastion, you could play defense with Torbjorn, like you could play offense. Like there's so many different hero things, combinations you can come up with.
Even.
Yeah, like people were talking about like the Winston, but like today I played Torbjorn and I just turtled, and then we got like a Zenyatta ult, and I like Molten Cord and Zenyatta ulted, and we just like walked in and grabbed the flag, and like what do you do against that? Like how do you kill a Molten Cord Torbjorn? Like it's like you can do really wonky stuff.
Well, so what's interesting too is that like I felt like the assumption was that there would always be team fights that would basically result in a flag capture where, like in Capture the Flag and some of the other games, it wasn't always like that. It'd be like, I would say there was always one big group and then there was always one or two guys like defending, in some fashion, depending on what characters you had. At least when I've played different, CTF games, it's tended to be that versus just all 6 of us move together and then we just leave our flag just completely vulnerable. So it can be, back capped or anything like that. So it sounded like he was under the assumption, towards the end when they were thinking about whether to, have basically the ability to capture the flags on the battlefield versus at the points, the base points. I'd be able to pick it up, I guess, it was the big thing because he was talking about Warsaw Gulch, right? He made it sound like, well, there's going to be team fights anyway, so and with the abilities the way they are, we just figured we just leave it, right, freeform and just let Winston just be able to just like fly with the flag and not drop it when they're using abilities. So I don't know, what do you guys think? You think it is going to be team fights that just results in, okay, we won the team fight, now we get like 10-15 seconds to just carry the flag back?
I mean, that's like if you're like trying to lose, right? Like why would you not, like I don't know. There's definitely there's obviously like different strategies, which I think like which is why the video made like a weird, I'm not saying I didn't like the video. It's just like weird the assumptions that he made because I feel like you skirmish so much in CTF. Like it's never really about the 66 clashes. Like it's not like Payload where you're just constantly like death balling into each other trying to push the cart. It feels more like one or two people push up, one or two people stay back. Like you try to grab the flag. We have ult and we'll go in now, and then you'll get like a really big ult fight. If people are turtling really hard, you'll get like 5 people in at once, but 6 like probably not. I don't know. I think that there's like some weird. I don't want to compare it to TF2 too much, but like when you consider TF2, right, there were so many weapons and so many different like classes that had all these abilities, and like it was never really balanced. But the game modes made it balanced because the objectives were the same for both teams. Like with 5CP and CTF, it was like, oh, you can run this overpowered hero or class, but we can also run this overpowered class. So then suddenly like there's balance just because of mirroring.
Yeah, right.
And I think that like CTF makes this like it could make this game feel really, really good because like if everybody can pick all of these crazy heroes, then like can you really complain about the other team having the crazy heroes?
The biggest thing for me is that if CTF was a competitive format, there's no question that the compositions would be different than what we see with Payload and what we see with King of the Hill.
Yeah, 100%.
But right now we see some similarities on both of those formats, and this would be completely different. It'd be really refreshing to see. I wonder do you move slow when you get the flag? Like, do you move slower? Is there any kind of
you can't use invulns? Like, I think it'll drop the flag if you like pop Trans or Reaper Wraith. Okay. But I think that like certain abilities you can't use them. Like you can't like blink and grab the flag and rewind out with the flag. You like drop the flag, I think, or you just can't use it. I forget.
Well, it takes time to actually cap the flag, is what he was saying too. They made sure it takes a few seconds to cap it, so you can't literally just tap, like blink, 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 grab it and just like recall out like super quickly. So maybe a turret could defend it relatively well against something like that. I think. Yeah. You played it. You actually played it, so but
I was playing Torbjorn, so I'm not really sure. Like, I'm pretty sure though you don't grab it instantly because I think there was a Genji on the flag and he wasn't picking it up. So yeah, I think you have to like, stand on it for a second or two.
Yeah,
you have to stand on it for a second to pick it up. For me and Clout, my buddy from Tribes, brings this up. Being able to cap the flag when your flag isn't home is kind of the main difference between this type of CTF and CTF from Quake and Tribes. It sounds like that it was similar in TF2 as well. And I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. I have, like, just from my personal experience, I have to agree with Clout. Like, that's going to really change the dynamic. And in my opinion, it could make CTF and Overwatch very offense heavy, because if you can cap the flag when the other team has your flag, then, you know, it doesn't put as much weight on defense, potentially. The other thing that this means is that we won't have what's called a standoff, where both teams have each other's flags, which is something that was like defining in Quake and Tribes back in the day. You know, these long standoffs, like who's going to break the standoff first? You know, how many do you push together as a team to try and like all push forward and return your flag, or do you hold most people on defense and hold the flag carrier all the way home? Like, so I'm a little curious to see how this plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if we do end up seeing it changed maybe one day. If it turns out that the game is just kind of like a cluster, that I think it could add some more strategic depth potentially if you had it so that you had to have your flag home to actually capture and get a point. But we'll just have to see, obviously. Comes out now, so get playing. I'm actually going to be looking for people streaming today while I'm at work, because I have way too many meetings. I can't just ditch. Otherwise, I probably would.
No, we're just, I think everybody can agree that we're happy at least they're giving this a go, you know, in the terms of the Brawl or the arcade. He did make it sound like the destination for this is more likely the arcade than competitive mode. But you know, you never know. If this thing ends up going super well and it seems to be super balanced, you know, we could definitely see this maybe put into competitive mode, and that would be great. So think of this as PTR for Capture the Rooster, and we've got 3 weeks to give it a run. But I'm excited. I think this is potentially going to be, this is the best competitive Brawl in my opinion. The Junkenstein one obviously was an awesome co-op one, but this will be a great test.
You can't make like custom servers with Brawl modes.
No, you can't.
So that's like something that I really wish that, like,
wait, you can wait. No, there's a few. There's a couple that you can do, I think.
I can check right now, but
I
guess I want to talk more to a little with what Ben was saying. I was thinking about this, like, what if you got into like a stalemate with like two tracers that had the flag? Like, I feel like in a pub setting, it would be like it could go for like 30 minutes, honestly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So true. Yeah. And I think that, like, that's kind of the fear, because like I agree with the flag not being a base thing, but I was just thinking, like, if you had a tracer in your base with like a Torbjorn set up, and like maybe they switched to Reinhardt to like block him off and stuff. May, yeah, you could put up a wall to like block your tracer in a corner. I don't know. It could get really, really, really bad really quick. But
at the same time, it'd be pretty funny moments, though.
For sure.
That's definitely true. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
We can't stack though, right?
What do you mean?
You can't hero stack in this.
No.
Okay, God, that would. Yeah, I hope you can't do that. That would be terrible.
Oh God, it would be like the old days of King of the Hill with like 4 tracers and 2 Lucios.
Bunch of Winstons and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's none. You can't make this. You can't make a custom server. So like, I don't know. It's a Brawl at the end of the day, which I think is my biggest gripe, right? That like it's not a PTR or something that like I can like. I feel like I want to be able to do rule set CTF and then play Lijiang, but.
Well, just think of this as the PTR, in my opinion, and we'll see what comes from it. At least this we know is out in the production, and there's going to be a ton of people playing it, so they'll have a ton of data, and I'm sure have a lot to say about it next week. Okay, well, why don't we move on to the patch notes? We've been talking about the patch, obviously, off and on the last few weeks, but the big patch, with D.Va Ana is finally out. There were a couple points or a couple changes that we didn't get a chance to talk about on the show. I might have alluded to it, but we never got a chance to really officially talk about it with the second wave of changes. And that involved the bionic grenade. Not only the heal boosting to 50% or reduced to 50% by 50%, but the duration's also reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So I don't think we ever talked about that. What do you guys think about that change?
I am so happy.
Okay,
Look,
I mean,
we've been talking about Ana
yeah,
for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, but I'm particularly glad to see the duration reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. Honestly, it's a huge relief, because it means it's not just nerfing the 50% boost to healing.
Mhm.
That was a great step in the right direction, but it didn't touch the anti-heal, which is arguably the stronger aspect of the biotic grenade to start with. So reducing it from 5 seconds to 4 seconds affects both both benefits of the biotic grenade, both the anti-heal and the healing boost. I still would be open to them testing anti-heal reduced to 50% as well, instead of entirely full anti-heal. But just everything counts, and Ana was just so strong. And now I'm really just wondering, is this even enough still to make Ana kind of not a must pick? I certainly think we're going to see teams experiment with all kinds of other things, but I still think even after all of this, Ana is going to be strong. I don't know, what do you think, Flame?
I mean, purple's still really good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's kind of the difference. Yeah. I mean, that's what I call it now. I don't know what to call it. The debuff.
Grenade. He's talking about the grenade effect.
When people are low, you can't even call people are low in Overwatch because D.Va heals them up so fast. So it's either they're purple or they're alive. You're either full health or you're purple. Those are the two statuses of the enemy in Overwatch. So I think that like the purple is the problem still. I mean, not really the problem. The hero is definitely nerfed. Like, this is a huge nerf, and the lack of D.Va picking will amplify this, as I think Reinhardt's will actually get punished now. Because there were like some crazy times where, like, I don't know, even like people like McCree and Reaper weren't able to kill Reinhardt's if they had the amp heal. And I think that this makes her like diveable a little bit more, because there were a lot of times where you'd be like Tracer or Genji or something and she'd nuke the ground, and then Lucio's amp would like double heal her, and she just would never die. So she'll definitely die a little bit more now. Maybe dive comp will become a little bit more prevalent. She's still way more survivable than Zenyatta ever will be. So I think that adds a little bit of greatness to her kit. Like, I think people are overlooking the survivability aspect of it.
Totally, yeah.
More so than like the fact that she can heal so much. It's like she's just safer to pick, and I think that. I mean, this nerfs her, but I don't think it changes her status or is like meta changing in terms of her specifically.
For me, I still think it's the survivability that's the biggest thing, like that bothers me about her. Because if she was, if you could kill her easily, I don't think it would be as. It would just be more risky to pick her, right? If she was as squishy, or maybe even imagine if she was even more squishy than Zenyatta, which is pretty hard to do. Like then her having a super powerful toolkit, I would be okay with it. But if you're going to keep her survivability, then it's harder. It's harder to move the levers on the other stuff right now.
Yeah, it's like there's like a weird balance, but I think like Zenyatta's hitbox is why he's like so easy to kill.
Yep.
So like if you actually switch Zenyatta and Ana's hitboxes, like their models, like just change their models and nothing else, I think that like they might be balanced in some weird way.
Make him standing instead of sitting in the air.
But like it's a huge deal, right? Like, have you ever played Hanzo against the Zen versus an Ana? Like, it's so hard to kill Zenyatta with Scatter Arrow because he floats. Like, it's stuff like that I think might need to be like the difference maker. I think Ana's hitbox is too small compared to like how much HP she can give herself, as opposed to like Zenyatta, who just has like the hitbox of a Torbjorn, so just eats every single bullet that you shoot at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Zenyatta's hitbox still tilts me. It's so massive. It's like the widest hitbox for any 200 HP character in the entire game by far. It's
really
there's
no better feeling than playing Reaper and you see a Zen on your screen. You just know that it's dead. Yeah, you're like, goodbye.
Reaper, Tracer,
you can't miss.
Yeah, you actually can't miss. It's crazy.
Genji, right click, shurikens, like you're gonna hit. It's so easy to kill.
Poor Zen, man. Bad. It wasn't that long ago that Zen was played everywhere, so he's still got that potential. It's just when you compare it to Ana, and Ana's actually his counter anyways. So it's bizarre.
Well, the thing is, like, you would think that Trans should beat Nano Boost, right? But then the purple.
Yeah, the purple. The purple plague, man. So, all right, moving on. We've got, of course, the D.Va. The D.Va armor reduced, health increase, which we talked about. And then the damage being nerfed just slightly, like very, very slightly, if you're talking about in terms of each shot. I think the total is like -2 damage if you land every single shot for each of the the scenarios. Hog 2.0 is out, of course. Sombra. So this is the one that we didn't talk too much about. We did mention that the hack cooldown, at least the hacking is the actual time it takes to hack something has gone down from 1 second to 0.8 seconds. But then I didn't realize the cooldown was reduced from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. So I think that's a bigger deal.
That was added after the first round, the first PTR patch earlier this month. This was added afterwards, I guess. Okay. And yeah, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, it's going to be easier to hack, and you're going to be able to hack way more often. I still don't see her manual single target hack being a really strong part of her kit, just because you have to put yourself in a lot of risk to get close enough to hack in the first place. So it's still going to be very hard to pull off against adept teams that are calling your position out. But look, I mean, I think Sombra, I'll stick to my words that I said last time I was on the show, not last week, but the week before. I think Sombra is going to be viable in situations, especially 2CP. Her EMP still so strong. She might be a little bit underpowered, but players are going to find ways to make her more and more useful over time. And I think this is a good change for her in general.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't want to say she's going to be overpowered, but I think she's going to start teetering on that line. I think, like, I want to say the big, I mean, this is like a bold statement, like maybe a rude statement, but like, I think one of the biggest things holding back the NA and like just the competitive scene in general is like people's willingness to learn new heroes. And I think that like Sombra is one of those heroes that like once someone like actually gets good and like a team gets good at like running it efficiently, like more efficiently than even like complexity right now, I think that's when like you'll see her get picked a lot more. I think like one of the issues that teams are running into is that they're not really sure what the best use of the EMP is, or like even just how to position yourself for the hack. Because like I guess to what Ben was saying, like I was playing, I think it was Anubis, and there's like that upper ledge, you know, like on first point where you can just kind of sit up there, or like on defense or offense, depending on if you get up there, and you can hack people on the point.
What?
Like,
really?
From up there, yeah. And like if you're up there and they can't
on the right
get to
side,
you or
right?
something,
You mean
left
talking on
side.
the right, the left side? Okay.
Well, I hacked a tracer that was blinking around on the point, like underneath me. And I was like, Jesus, like this is really good. Like
you can hack from up there?
Yeah, the range is actually insane. So like I don't think people have really played around with her enough to like understand the ranges, and like she's like a really good Mei counter too, because I think that like the range of hack is actually longer than the range of the left click. She's like very, very good. It's just people haven't really tried playing her enough to see how crazy it is. I don't know. The EMP is insane, and she'll definitely start getting picked when someone like takes the time to make her really good.
What do you guys think she's most similar to? Like, if a player that right now is playing X in a like a certain composition, who would that person be that would switch over to Sombra? That's not just your don't say Flex, because obviously that's like a generic answer. Who do you think would be closest to it?
I mean, people say Tracer, but like, or the people that would play Tracer, but the hero is very different than Tracer. Like, she's more cooldown reliant. So maybe like the Zarya player would have to get better at her, but you need like super good aim, which is another problem. I don't know. That's what I mean. It's like you need to like actually put in the practice. I don't know that like you can say, oh, your Tracer player should just pick her up, because she requires a lot more micro.
Right.
Most similar to Tracer in that you have this like ability to get away. But they're really, I don't think there's too much more parallel.
She fires kind of quickly through her clip.
Yeah,
yeah, she has a good clip.
It's about the similarities of it. That's true. Okay, well, I agree with you, Fishstix. I think that eventually we are going to see Sombra more and more. I thought we'd see her more and more already, but maybe with this actual change, we'll see people give it a go, and then get a chance to see it in competitive. It might take like, I don't know, one of the Korean teams actually watching like Complexity or some others and like, oh yeah, this is like great, and then all of a sudden it becomes a huge thing over there first. But the NA teams don't seem to be going crazy about, or just using it in a very experimental way yet. But it's hard. It's like with all the 4 tank meta and the 3 tank meta, I don't know, it's definitely not the most obvious thing to do is play Sombra.
It's just harder. It's like you can do it, I think, right now. Even I think Complexity strategy has the validity to like just EMPing 4 tanks or EMPing 3 tanks and then just trying to row them down. But I feel like trying it with Roadhog is like harder, Like I would have rather them tried it with like Reaper. Like imagine like EMP an entire team and then just like meat shot them down with Reaper. Like that could be really good.
Oh,
but,
you mean who's doing the damage? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, just like the follow up to it, because she's not very good at, like, even when you EMP 6 people, like she still has trouble getting kills depending on like how the fight went or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the patch notes, guys. Definitely give it a go. Let me, at least let us know what your experience has been with all these changes. But let's move on to some balance talk. We've already been touching upon it, of course. But Fishstix, you had a few things you want to talk about here?
Yeah, I mean, I just jotted down some notes and some general questions, which we'll find out the answers to pretty imminently here, as there are a couple tournaments going on right now. Apex, we've got Winter Premiere this weekend. So we're going to see these new balance changes in action almost immediately. But I just had some general questions, which, I'd pose to the audience and just think about and talk with you guys about as well. And the most pressing, obvious one here is with the Ana nerfs, with the Hog slight nerfs, with the Diva nerfs, is triple tank going the way of the Dodo? Is this enough to kind of move us back to what we used to see most frequently, which was 222 or even triple DPS? We've seen, actually, out of Korea, we've seen some triple DPS played by Misfits as well as some other teams out there already, even before this patch hit. We've actually been seeing in Korea 222 as well, a lot more so than the West. But do these relatively significant nerfs to Ana, to Diva, to Hog make it so we're going to go back into that 2 DPS meta that was kind of dominant before this patch? My feeling is, yeah, we're headed that direction for sure, for a lot of different reasons. But Flame, I don't know if you want to just comment on your thoughts there.
I think like triple DPS or like just even double has like a lot of validity when it comes to like that first fight that you take on offense, because you can like dive in. Usually your spawn's better on the first point and like you can play around that. But I think triple DPS like really struggles at like closing out maps because of like the way the game works in terms of like you needing to team wipe and stuff. So I think we'll like start seeing 222 more towards like the later stages of maps. A lot of teams I don't think are switching early enough or like prepping. Like people run dive comp on like Anubis, but if you run dive comp on Anubis, you'll like take first point easily generally, but like second point you kind of like start fumbling because you're lack of like you don't have Reinhardt or something, or you'll be like most teams will run Winston with dive. I don't know. I think that like it definitely opens up the doors. It's just I think teams have to start strategizing for different points of maps more now, as like the way it was like I think in closed beta. Like we would have when I was on a team, like we would have comps for like each individual stage of the map. Like for Dorado, we're gonna switch off our Reinhardt for a Winston or something, or along those lines. So I definitely think that there's more validity to it. It won't be as easy to just say, okay, we're just gonna plot 4 tanks down on the cart, So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many little reasons why I think we're going to see dive comp in particular come back. Hook, the fact that the hook, if you're breaking line of sight, it's going to break. That helps by far. That helps Genji and Tracer more than any other characters in the game. It might be subtle, but it's something. The fact that Diva's weaker means that I think in relation to Diva, Winston is stronger. I mean, Diva was an incredible counter to Winston in so many different situations. The fact that obviously you can't power heal tanks so much means that a Winston and a Genji and a Tracer diving on a specific target, even if it's a Reinhardt or a Diva or a tank of any kind, means that Ana's not going to be able to just power heal them through folks diving. So personally, as somebody that played a lot of Genji back in the day and loves playing Winston, I am super excited to just see if this does bring back the dive comp into the Western meta. I will again just reiterate that we've been seeing a lot out of the Korean teams, so it may have already been going that direction, but these changes are certainly going to make that more so.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of just a little bit about games that happened this weekend and even this week, we're going to talk about events in a second, but in terms of balance, we're seeing a lot of different things. A lot of different just even DPS heroes that we were talking about. I mean, we've been seeing some Pharah, we've been seeing lots of Tracer. In fact, I feel like the amount of 76 we've been seeing has been going down, at least
especially in Korea.
Yeah, especially in Korea.
76 in the Korean games. I know Flame's watched more than I have, but
yeah. So how much of this do you think is in lieu of the patch that happened today, versus a natural progression with away from the triple tank, quad tank metagame?
It's like very map dependent, I think, like, and like stage dependent again. Like I think you like need high ground to run 76, and because like teams are starting to exploit the fact that like you can just kind of dive a 76. I mean, like you still to run like Diva, and the Diva like brings the 76 down to like half or even like 3/4, and like a Tracer or something can clean them up. That's why like we were seeing a lot of Tracer recently, but I'm not really sure, I guess, whether or not it has something to do with the meta. I know for a fact that like the Korean teams and the teams that are in Korea, like the Western ones, weren't sure when the patch was going to be hit, like because we only got announced the Rooster thing like I think this week. So the matches from last week, or like last week's Apex matches, I think the teams were practicing PTR. So that might have came in play. I think 76 is still really strong, and I don't think people really are going to start appreciating like how much damage he actually does. Like people remember when like people were like, oh god, 76 is overpowered now with all this damage, and now Diva's gone. Like the only real
he can only be better,
obvious
right?
counter. Like he can only really be better. It's just if teams are running Tracer Genji and you just pick one person, you can generally get the kill now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because on one hand, what was the best counter in the entire game to a 76 on a high ground? It was Diva. Now 76 is going to have a slightly better time in that matchup. But at the same time, I really think we're going to just see so much more dive-oriented comps that are just going to jump right, not just Diva, but a Genji and a Winston, or a Genji and a Diva, or a Genji and a Winston and a Tracer. Are all going to jump on 76 at once. So I feel like this patch is like both good and bad for 76, but ultimately he's still like stupid strong.
Yeah, the Ana nuke plus heal station used to be like ridiculously good. I mean, now it's slightly nerfed, so that's something to note, I guess.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm just very curious to see the matches this week too. Just immediately what people have in store with all these changes. And it starts tonight, actually. I think we have a bunch of matches tonight, and even earlier this morning, I believe. So definitely we'll be reporting on that next week. But in terms of team and play,